Okay. This feels so much better. So I'm gonna write 5 random questions down that I don't even think about beforehand. Just right now, let me write down 5 questions. One more. So I went to my mom's garbage because I wanted to reduce, reuse, recycle because as you see, besides going to the farmer's market, being as conscious as we can, like 1 tree supplies enough oxygen for 4 people if they were to live, I know my numbers, full lifetimes. And, you know, trees need to be revered, and the way we use them and how we use them is inappropriate and also disrespectful for all the greatness they unselfishly do for us. Okay, so this was from my mom's garbage. There's like 5, 6 questions. I'm gonna rip them into questions or into like sections. Well, some people, that noise may drive them. Okay. Scrunchy. Scrunch. Okay. But first, I think I should introduce my guest. Okay. I just had a shower. I thank the gods in the universe for being able to have a shower. You know, having a shower is like releasing and healing the light body because, you know, some say 70, some say 90% of our bodies are water. So it's like going back into the womb. So that's why when you're angry or sad, they say wash your scalp and also take a shower because it cleanses you. Einstein said he used to get a lot of his incredible ideas when he was in the water. It's like it bathes you in this holy water. Okay. That's a habit too, see? Saying okay, so I will drop it and I won't continue. A challenge. a challenge. Misery only means that things are not fitting with your desires. And things never fit with your desires. They cannot. Things simply go on following their nature. Lao Tzu calls this nature Tao. Buddha calls this nature Dhamma. Mahavir has defined religion as the nature of things. Nothing can be done. Fire is hot and water is cool. The wise man is the one who relaxes with the nature of things, who follows the nature of things. And when you follow the nature of things, no shadow is cast. There is no misery. Even sadness is luminous then. Even sadness has a beauty then. Not that sadness will not come. It will come. But it will not be your enemy. You will befriend it because you will see its necessity. You will be able to see its grace. And you will be able to see why it is there and why it is needed. I have heard an ancient parable. It must be very ancient because God used to live on the earth in those days. One day a man came to him, an old farmer, and he said, "Look, you may be God and you may have created the world. But one thing I must say to you, you are not a farmer. You don't even know the ABC of farming. You have something to learn." Well, God said, "What's your advice?" And the farmer said, "You give me 1 year's time and just let things be according to me and see what happens. There will be no poverty left." God was willing, and 1 year was given to the farmer. Naturally, he asked for the best. He thought of the best. No thunder, no strong winds, no dangers for the crop. Everything was comfortable and cozy. He was very happy. The wheat was growing so high. When he wanted sun, there was sun. When he wanted rain, there was rain. And as much as he wanted, this year everything was right, mathematically right. But when the crops were harvested, there was no wheat inside. The farmer was surprised. He asked God, "What happened? What went wrong?" And God said, "Because there was no challenge, because there was no conflict, no friction, because you avoided all that was bad, the wheat remained impotent. A little struggle is a must. Storms are needed, thunder and lightning is needed. They shake up the soul inside the wheat. They shake up the soul inside the wheat." This parable is of immense value. If you are just happy and happy and happy, happiness will lose all its meaning. It will be as if somebody is writing with white chalk on a white wall. Nobody will be able to read it. You have to write on a blackboard. Then it becomes clear. The night is needed as much as the day. And the days of sadness are essential as the days of happiness. This I call understanding. Once you understand it, you relax. In this relaxation, you surrender. You say, thy will be done. You say, do whatsoever you feel is right. If today clouds are needed, give me clouds. Don't listen to me, my understanding is tiny. What do I know of life and its secrets? Don't listen to me. You just keep on doing your will. And slowly and slowly and slowly, the more you will see the rhythm of life, the rhythm of duality, the rhythm of polarity. You stop asking and you stop choosing. This is the secret. Live with the secret and see the beauty. Live with this secret and you will be suddenly surprised. How great is the blessing of life. How much is being showered on you every moment. A lot of people don't like to struggle because people don't like change. And like Buddha says, change is the only thing that we know is certain in this universe, besides death, right? And it's hard and challenges sometimes for us to understand that, like Buddha says, there is no coming to consciousness without suffering. And I'm not for this, like, life has to be a suffer, because I'm one of these ones, to tell you the truth personally. I like it easy, but I'm not going to lie, when it gets easy too, it gets a little boring because it's the duality of the mind. And I'm also not living as fully, because to be a multidimensional self, I will experience many different universes and feelings and all of these things, but the secret is finding the balance and the center of the being within, so I do not become attached to any ideas, ideologies, the past, the future, expectations, all these things, results, so that I can be like a child of wonder, present in the moment. And because you see children too, they scratch their legs, hurt themselves, and, back up in 5 minutes. And they don't hold on to the energy afterwards. They go through the experience and then they rise above it because they learn from it. And they also learn to let it go. And because children don't have so much mind, they don't get attached to holding on to that thought, which then either manifests itself in a multitude of different ways because it's been unhealed. So we need a little bit of crises or something that shakes us up. I get shaken up a lot because I live in totality. And when you live in totality, you're gambling with life. And it's not that I do things unconsciously or dangerously. I'm just really living. I really am where I am in my present moments. And because my energy is so vast, I can go into a multitude of experiences and dimensions, and there can be a lot of suffering because of that, because you go into a lot of unknown territory. And people are scared to go into unknown territory. Do you want to show? Oh, 1 second. Morocco, come, show face. Come. Just show face. Yeah. Okay, come. Okay, this is rocket. Rocks. God, you're gorgeous. You look like a model. Okay. Okay. So, being happy all the time too gets very boring and stagnant. Because in happiness, usually people are living in their desires and all these types of things, and they're super attached to all these illusions, and they think, oh, I'm going through life. But the experience that takes us to the depths of our inner being isn't there in constant moments of happiness. Like they say, how do you know health if you don't know illness? One must learn. We have to go through the experience ourselves in a multitude of ways and challenge our beings. Because that's, I was reading about Khalil Gibran yesterday, and he was talking about the soul's evolution, and he says the one thing you must do as while you're here is work on your soul. And we forget to work on our soul because it's the only thing that we take with us. All these things that we create and transform and heal and surrender is what we take with us into our next lives too, as energetic beings, because even science says this, like, energy never dies. So we just transform. Just like there's a story about Chung Tzu. So he's a famous master, Asian master, and he had reached enlightenment, and he had a whole bunch of disciples. One day night, he came down disturbed, and the disciples were like, what's wrong? Because they've never seen him disturbed. He's reached enlightenment, he's very balanced and all this. He said, I had a dream. And they said, yeah. And he said, well, I didn't know I was a butterfly, and I woke up and I'm wondering, is Chung Tzu the butterfly, or is the butterfly Chung Tzu? Because which one is the reality and not the reality? So these disciples become very, very disturbed, like, oh my God, if he's questioning this, what's real and is not real? Oh my God, right? And all this. Then they had another master disciple who was enlightened, who came in and heard this. And he said, what are you talking about? And he goes, what are you guys doing? So he went up to Chung Tzu and he said, what is this rubbish? Do you want me to chuck an ice bucket on you, right? And right away Chung Tzu said, you caught it. So we don't know what the dream is from the conscious waking. Who is what and where and when we go through so many energetic beings. And when we're not attached to the mind, we can go into parallel universes through our energy as well. We become everything. The totality of all, and then we don't question also. No questions, no answers. Okay, let's do a question, I think. Isn't this so great? That's my mom. Oh, what do I regret? I used to be a girl of regrets when I was a perfectionist. Regret this, regret that. And I had a great conversation with my dad once, and he said, Camilla, I regret nothing. And I said, you regret nothing? He goes, yeah. He goes, you know why? He said, everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, the things that worked out, didn't work out, people who ripped me off, didn't rip me off, whatever, lie, this. He goes, they all made me who I am today. every single person, every single experience linked to make me who I am today. And then I look back on my life, and I've lived some very extreme experiences because my energy is so vast, and I also don't really limit myself to types of experiences in the world or things that I just really live. And with regret, it comes in the mind. So that means I'm living in the past too. So that means I haven't arrived at my center if I have any regrets. So I can't have any regrets. And that just shows me, am I really who I am 10, 15 years ago, or who I am in my being right now? It's so, how many times do we die in this birth? I'm not talking near-death experiences, though. I've had those. A multitude of different types. We're rebirthed all the time, like the caterpillar. We go through the cocoon, we metamorphosis, shed the skin and become something totally new and fly and experience. And that happens in our being so much. That's how we transform, when we become alert and conscious of who we are and what we are and why we do what we do. And of course, meditation and nature. Because I was reading a really interesting thing about Hippocrates. This is actually. So I study a lot of naturopathic things and herbs and concoctions, and I like to read up on pharmaceuticals. I sometimes like to read up on everything. And Hippocrates, of course, came up with that quote, "Do no harm," in 460 BC. 460, wow. We are really an old earth. We should feel so blessed that we exist here and make sure that we leave this place a better place than before we arrived. So Hippocrates said, "Take thy food as medicine, and medicine is thy food." And I was looking at all of the things that he was talking about too, besides basically mostly studying natural practices. Although they did have some very interesting things that would be comparable to, say, like our blood transfusions today, which would be like bloodletting. They really healed people too because they went into the mind. He was talking about a positive mind. And I have been working with an incredible soul from Harvard and learning so much about certain things on my journey on both sides, that it makes me sometimes too, like, say, for instance, say it's an illness. Well, if you care about your health, depending which route you want to go, or a multitude of routes, you want to know what you're dealing with and how and why. So sometimes learning through that healing of the mind body and the people that we meet along the way, these challenges are exactly what we need to transform us so we become the energetic beings we're supposed to be, or the gifts that we're supposed to learn that we can then pass on to humanity to help heal and love others. And a big component of sickness comes from the mind thoughts, the negative mind thoughts. And I was reading another mystic's book about, you hear people saying, oh, I something crazy came over me. I've never had this thought and I did something crazy. And he was talking about how thoughts in the ether literally transform and go everywhere. And if you have the right light body or person who picks up on that and that's their channel, sometimes out of nowhere, a thought can enter into a being, because thoughts are living entities. And it makes sense. Like, if I'm going to go pick up my cup, I have to have the thought to go pick up the cup to do it. It came from thought in order to signal to hand to pick up the cup. Everything originates in thought. I guess that's why Einstein says, I want to know God's thoughts. The rest are details. So I have no regrets. I can honestly say that if I was to go now, I have no regrets. I live with a lot of amazing, beautiful things happening. And then I got a lot of challenges because that's life. And what goes up must come down, but I must stay centered and balanced. That's the key. And I let myself, when I'm in my happiness, I really allow myself to enjoy my happiness. And when I'm in my sadness, I let myself really enjoy my sadness. I don't get attached. But now also too, since I'm learning not to have an opinion too much to get attached to these things or to be expressing so much, I'm just keeping more balanced and neutral to all the amazing things that happen. And amazing too can have struggle in it. There's a lot of things that I, learned so much when I'm going through it. And some days are really hard. And some days I'd become totally conscious and alert and boom, okay. But because I've been doing this work for so long, I can take myself back into my being a lot easier through the mastery of techniques and meditation and hypnosises and things like that that I do for myself and for people who come to me. Let's pull one more. Who are you from your past lives? Well, if I'm the totality of existence, I've been everything. I wrote a novel called Child of Illusions, which was about Mumtaz Mahal. Because even as a child, I came out telling my parents about my parents from my past life. And my parents would be like, oh, Camilla, you have to do this, like domesticated things. And I'd be like, oh, this is really weird. My parents in my last lifetime never asked me to do these things. So it's kind of weird. You guys want me to do this. So even my dad, who was more traditional at the time, like he was like, wanted me to do these things. And I'm like, it's not for me. I'll get someone to do it, right? I'll exchange something. So I kind of got away with this, but I have been everything. Like I've been an ant. That's why even when I'm walking, I walk very delicately on the earth. And even before I put my foot down, I can feel that there's going to be some ant or bug. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I don't want to kill or harm anything. And like, I've been every color. I've been every class, even though that's another video I'm going to do, which is we need to let go of classes, economic classes in the universe. We need to become classless. Yes. So because I know in my energetic being, I have lived so many past lives, I can honestly say I've been everything in every form. And human being is one of the most beautifulest ones of them, though I love being like jungle animal or like exotic cats because I just love to run through the jungle and waterfalls, but we won't get to that right now. Because human being is the only one that can attain consciousness. So to be able to, what the human body can do, what the heart can feel, what we can see, this beauty, this magnificence. It's such a rarity and such a gift. Enjoy it. Live totally. Say the things that you're scared to say. Feel the things that you want to feel. Feel the things you don't want to feel. Let yourself go beyond your mind. We come here into this universe and we get programmed very easily in a multitude of ways and doctrines, from home to schools to this to that. And most of the thoughts or our ways of being aren't who we are. That's why most people are unhappy, because they're living in so many masks and so many restraints and so many things that have been imposed on the being that they're not living their truth. Therefore, they don't know who they are, and they keep running from themselves. And when you run from yourselves, you know, it causes a huge, complex system of running away from thyself, whether it be from physical forms to mental forms to you name it, it comes. Oh, and Hippocrates said, when you have kind of like a bad day, go for a walk. And if after you go for a walk, it's still not a good day, go for another walk. Listen to the trees. They talk. When I'm out in the forest, a lot of the times they talk, and it's like physically everyone can, well, I'm with people, not with people, but you can hear them, and there's so much beauty. There's so many messages, visibly and invisibly, when we're in Mother Nature and in the forest, and she heals in so many ways. And we're sent a lot of messengers sometimes. When we become divinely connected, when we're on these little adventures, beautiful animals or sounds or things will come that are also there to guide us. But also too, we don't need to become attached to looking for meanings all the time or putting labels and titles onto things, but just knowing that there's guidance all around. Someone told me, it was so funny actually. Someone told me, it just came to me. I went on a date once and the guy's like, Camillia, you like your life difficult. And I'm like, what? He was quite like prim and proper and like, anyways, so and I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you could have such an easy life and you choose to do everything really difficultly. And I kind of do. Ever since I was younger, I could have had so many easier ways and routes, in a multitude of ways, but I always chose the more difficult one. And I read a very interesting thing about a master talking about, it's the ego. The ego wants to choose the struggle, the harder thing to do. And then you see the opposite thought that says a challenge. And I've learned to also differentiate the difference between flow and sometimes choosing the journey less traveled that may come with some struggle or challenge, but it's what's needed for my being to evolve to that. Okay. So I hope you get a cup of apple cider vinegar with honey and hot water. May you have a beautiful, blessed day. Okay. Oh, see, I said it 4 times. I said I wouldn't.